Welcome back to Six Sided. Like, share, and subscribe. Loads to go through today on the show. Absolutely loads to talk about. Arsenal running the league, clear at the top. Man United's losing streak comes to an end, but Benjamin Šeško picking up, in my opinion, a weird amount of hate this weekend. I'm not really understanding, especially from Gary fucking Neville, of all people, aka Teabag. We're looking at Spurs. We actually tried to find some Tottenham fans for the show today, but they were all really busy. Even the ones that are bald said they were washing their hair. It was kind of one of those weird experiences. We're talking Chelsea's win over them. Liverpool back on the winning trail as well. So loads to go through, loads to talk about. Some really interesting fiction or fact questions for you as well. We're joined tonight. We've got really good. Oh, hang on. No, we have got a Spurs fan who's arrived. Oi, Deji. Hey. Yes, bro.
Honestly, I would have loved to have been here on better times, but you know what? We got to show up, win, lose or draw, represent my club. So I'm here. So delighted to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Always a pleasure, Deji, because I know we spoke earlier. I didn't hear back from you. I just assumed you weren't coming, but good to see you, mate. It's good to see you. And fair play for turning up, because I was saying every Spurs fan I reached out to today, I'm busy. I was tempted to drive to some of their houses to see if they really went out. I was like, nah, I think you're lying to me, bro. I think you're lying. So thanks for being here, bro. I appreciate it. So loads to go through. Got Kane on the panel, obviously a big Newcastle fan, as they slump to another defeat in the Premier League. Only 5 goals from open play from you guys as well, and you're not scoring from set pieces. What's going on? We'll be talking about that on the show. Ram is here. Is it nice to win? You're on mute. I can't hear you, mate. You are like your sound right now is like a Viet's assist. It doesn't exist.
I actually got 2 assists. 2 assists post-season, Terry. Sorry. 3 assists in all comps, can we say?
What about in the Prem? Any in the Prem?
That's by the by. At least he's got one in England.
That's the buy. Fair enough. And Big Dan is with us as well. You okay? Oh, you bring my ball back. Thank you. Just put it on the floor. Thank you. My son takes balls off the set in my studio and goes and plays with them. Love you. See you in a bit.
What's up, dude?
Can you close the door for me on your way out, please, son? Thank you. He just comes in, but he lies though, right? Because he'll leave the room and he'll go into the other room, and I hear his mum go, "Did your dad say you could have that?" And he goes, "Yeah, he said I could play with it." And I'm like, he just took it. He did little liar. And of course, Big Dan is back with us on the show today. Good to see you, mate. Good to see all of you here today. But we're gonna jump straight into it today with the first fiction or fact question for you, and we're gonna start with my club. And this comes courtesy of David, the United fan who comes on. Fiction or fact? Signing Benjamin Šeško was a mistake. Man United should have spent the money and strengthened the midfield instead. Wait, so I'm going to go to Kane first on this because you were linked with that player. So,
yeah. I mean, I guess if I was being shameless, I should have said fact so that we probably would have got Šeško, but. I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm gonna say fact for now. I don't think he's necessarily hit the ground running at Man United, but I guess Man United fans will be able to tell me more in terms of his link-up play and how he works with. I don't know. Does Šeško coming in, has that made Cunha and Mbeumo better? Because if that's the case, and you could probably tell me more than that, then I would say, then yeah, fair dues. He's probably worth it and good on yous. But if he hasn't, and some parts of from what I've seen, it doesn't look like he has, in which case I've got to go with a fact on that one and say maybe if that 70 million that you spent on him, you could have probably put towards your Carlos Baleba or something. Because correct me if I'm wrong, were you somewhat priced out of it this season to get Carlos Baleba or something along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, Carlos Baleba was priced at about 100 odd million, and it's just too much. Yeah. I suppose the other side of it is we would have kept Rasmus though, and we saw what he did last year. So,
what's the difference between Rasmus last year and Šeško this year, in
terms of what exactly?
I guess this is where I suppose I'd throw the question back to you in terms of how is he working with? How do you see him working with Mbeumo and Cunha? Because if Šeško is just sort of a non-entity up front, then you've kind of just got the same as what you had with Rasmus, but
I mean, I think I know the difference.
Go on.
Politely, one's taller than the other.
Look,
That's about it.
no, I think on a real level, I mean, based on David's point of don't buy a striker and buy a midfielder, he doesn't specify in that statement whether that means keeping Rasmus or not. He did in the group chat allude to that, so I'm going to keep it at that. When it comes to the two of them, it's very hard to compare. And when you look at, even if you're going to look at numbers and stats, because the sample size, Šeško has played about 500 minutes so far. Šeško played over 2,000 minutes last season, as an example. But when you actually look at it and you actually break it down, already in just that small sample size compared to an entire season, Benjamin Šeško in blue is already starting to outstrip the guy. There's a few areas where Rasmus beat him, but you're talking about a whole season's worth of data versus like 4 or 5 starts. So the numbers don't lie here for me, and they don't lie on what I've seen. He had a terrible game this weekend against Nottingham Forest. His first touch was off. His hold-up play was non-existent. He didn't have a good game. Had a couple of shots that didn't come off. Got put through clean on goal. His first touch weren't great. Run straight through to the goalkeeper, and I criticised him for it. But he came on against Brighton, was excellent. The touch, the turn, the pass to set up the third goal was amazing. His previous 2 starts from that in the Premier League, he scored. United fans have been, by and large, been thoroughly impressed with his hold-up play. Gary Neville has created this narrative, and Gary Neville is talking out of his backside. Because to your point, Kane, when you actually look at Mbeumo's goals, Cunha's goals, and better performances, they've both started to improve the more and more they've been playing with Benjamin Šeško. So I find it really interesting that the likes of Isak and Wirtz and many others, even Gyökeres, who I've defended myself, are being like Gary Neville has come out and been like, look, they need time. We need to let them settle. We need to give. They didn't all have pre-seasons. Comes to the Man United player, and it's he looks awkward. Isn't doing what the other guys are doing. Also lied about his price tag today and said it was 80 million when he's not. He was 66 million. And, you sort of sit there, and that's what I'm fighting back against. Is I feel there hasn't been much to moan about as a United fan in the last 3 or 4 weeks. We draw a game, and I feel like they had to look for a narrative somewhere. And he didn't have a great game, but I think there's a massive exaggeration. And for me, if we'd have kept Højlund and bought Belieber, would we be 2 points off second? I don't know. I don't think any of you would have predicted after 10 games we'd be 2 points off second. So the idea that this narrative that, we'd be in a better place, my question to anyone saying that is, how much better? How many more points do you think we'd have? I mean, that must mean if you think we had Belieber, we'd at least be second in the league. And Højlund stayed and Belieber, but that's why I'm not getting here. What will be second? How many points would we be off Arsenal? 2 or 3? You really think we'd be that much better if we kept Rasmus and bought one midfielder? Maybe, maybe not. That's my pushback. Do you know what I mean? It's the idea that we'd be a much better team in a much better position. I just find that to be flawed logic. What we'd be looking at is a better midfield, but still loads of holes in the attack. And we'd be focusing on the question would be, oh, look, the midfield's done better, but we could have plugged the gap. We should have bought a striker because we're an incomplete squad for me. So I think there's a lot of it. Personally, I think there's a lot of exaggeration. And up until this game, I've been quite impressed with Benjamin Šeško. I've not been worried about him in most games. Really good touches, really good interplay, scored a couple of goals, created chances. Would have had, if it hadn't been for Sanchez getting himself sent off, he'd have got an assist in the Chelsea game when he started as well. And this is the irony of the same Man United fans I see crying were the same guys fuming that he got taken off in that Chelsea game after the Casemiro red card. It's like, well, you think he's as good as Rasmus? Why are you fuming? It doesn't even make sense. So I feel personally there's a bit of a narrative. Has he been world class? Has he been Harry Kane? No. But the idea that you'd have kept Rasmus over him, I think that is fans. I think that is people looking for attention online, personally.
Yeah, I can see that. Sorry, go on. I've spoke. You have go.
No, I was going to say, I think it's a weird one because, like you guys said, if you take out Sesko and you don't get in a striker, I feel like it's just as bad as people saying that he's just as bad as people saying that Sesko is playing poorly. Like, you'd rather fill in that gap than rely on the likes of Xerxes, who I particularly don't rate at all. And to be fair, even though the narrative is he's been quite poor, he's been a flop, at the end of the day, like, he is a player that's shown glimpses of quality very few glimpses, but still glimpses. So there is a possibility he can kick on and become the player that you guys expect him to be and lead the line for the foreseeable future. But again, I feel like every time a United fan says this is after the fact. You know what I mean? Because at the moment you sign him, we're like, okay, we got a decent striker who's a definite upgrade on Xerxes, definite upgrade on Højlund. And no one was really talking about, oh, we need to strengthen the midfield. Some may have said it, but at the time, people were very happy with him signing. So I feel like there's a lot of revisionism at the moment. There is a lot of holes that United need to fill, but at the moment, I'll call it fiction on that part for me.
I do find it funny, actually. Are we not a week removed where KJ and the panel were having a discussion on whether Man United had one of the best front threes in the league? And now, all of a sudden, we're talking like Šeško.
But this is also, I wasn't on that show, but there's a lot of the United fans I'm seeing kicking off and angry are the same guys that at halftime was talking about being in a title race because we were second. I think there's a lot of overly emotional grown men looking for something to rant about. I'm going to be honest with you. And I think Gary Neville is bang out of order. I think he even said very similar after we beat Brighton. And Man United fans were all miffed. We were all looking at each other going, it came on really good. What are you talking about? It strikes me as strange. And he looks awkward. I don't look at the touches. Listen, he had bad touches at the weekend, but he doesn't look awkward trying to play football. He had a bad game. These things happen, and I'm at a point where I'm not putting him in a category where Rasmus Højlund was towards the end of his Manchester United career. I find that staggering.
I kind of hear where Gary Neville is coming from, though, and I think the thing that sometimes I might banter United fans, Piccadilly fans about this is, on one hand, we know you've fallen off a cliff and you're not the same team as you used to be like yesteryear. And Gary Neville is still holding on to the fact that you are supposedly Manchester United and you're supposedly one of the biggest teams in the country. The truth of the matter is you're not. And that shows with the sort of striker that you brought in. Sesko, for a Manchester United team of a few years back, isn't good enough. What you should have been looking at is the likes of Vlahovic. You should have been looking at the likes of Harry Kane. You should have been looking at the likes of Haaland. That's what we knew United to be. Sesko is like a sort of striker that Aston Villa could probably pull into their team and have up top. And I think that's the bit that Gary Neville is probably struggling with. And I think a lot of United fans are struggling with. Are we a kind of mid-table top six side, or are we a title challenging side? The truth is you're neither. Do you know what I'm saying? You're not quite there. And so I think there needs to be that acceptance that we've had to go a few steps back in order to go some steps forward. And I think that's where Gary Neville is coming from. But I totally agree. I think we also have to accept that Mbeumo and Cunha are doing an absolutely bloody great job. That's what you brought them for. You brought them in to do exactly what they're doing. And Sesko isn't that. Had Sesko been the third person, if he was performing at the same level that they're performing at, then you are talking about Man United getting top four, if not potentially even challenging for the league. And if Liverpool could do it last season, then you could put it on United to say, why not you?
Yeah, look, I think there's an element of truth certainly to what you said about what Gary Neville's kind of motivation. This is where some United fans do it too. They live in the past. And although I want to get back to that level that he's talking about, it takes time to get there. And I hear Gary Neville talk about it a lot. And I just sit there and think, but you remember what United were like because you were born, you were old enough to remember what it was like when Fergie came in and how many ups and downs there were to get to the point where you were being bled into the first team. And that's what I find staggering, is that he does this punditry. He has all these amazing platforms. Some he's built himself, some he's worked on. He's done a fantastic job. But yet he never sits there and educates people on the time it takes to fix big clubs, what goes into it. He actually owns a football club, so understands the trials and the tribulations. He'll go through he'll have like little periods where he'll go on the Glazers. He'll have a go at them. But ever since he got involved with the sort of the planning committee for the regeneration of the area, which probably means he's going to make loads of money out of it, suddenly the ownership and everything else gets a little bit of a free pass with him. You know, I know he interviewed Sir Jim, but he kind of doesn't really mention much to do with them, especially not the Glazers anymore. It's all just now managers and players again, which I always find very interesting. And I want a striker that's delivering at Harry Kane level, and I want one of a Haaland level if that's possible. And I don't know if Šeško will ever be that, and I know we need better. But at the same time, most of you would have agreed a year ago 90% of the squad needed to go. It's going to take time to get to that level. And we did sign some good players this summer, but as if Harry Kane or Haaland were going to join Man United this summer. And that's the element. When you're falling the way we are, you can't attract, we can still attract excellent players, but we are not signing the very best of them. If Mbumo and Cunha were already playing for some of the biggest teams in the world, would we have enticed them away? No. If they'd already been playing for Real Madrid's or Bayern Munich's, would they have said, all right, we'll leave for that United project? No. So I think Man United, I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of Man United fans are just fucking delusional. I'll be honest with you. I think they're absolutely delusional, and they're always looking for something to moan about. When in the last 4 games, there's been things to criticize. I don't think there's been anything to moan about, because the guys really piping up, the ones really running up their mouths. If you'd have said to them, would you be happy to be 2 points off second place 10 games in? They'd have bitten your arm off for it. You're there now, yet the whinging still starts, which just shows me the duplicity in their character, more so than the ability of Šeško as a footballer. I think Šeško is going to come good. I ain't selling my stocks in him right now, and we'll see what happens. Dan, we didn't really hear from you, mate. What do you make on it, bruv?
Yeah, so I think he's a player that's going to take time. I don't think anyone at Manchester United really expected him to hit the ground running off the bat. I don't think anyone thought he was going to be a huge improvement on sort of what you had last season. But I do think he's the type of player that has shown at Leipzig that he can work with players in and around him, players that play in a 10, players that run beyond him. And I think he showed tactically that he can do that. And there's room to grow there, isn't there? And I think that's the thing we've got to remember with Sesko is I don't think he's come in as a player that was expected to be getting 20 goals for Manchester United in his first season, but he's a player that might one day be that. But in the meantime, he's also great for, and probably better than what you had last season at bringing the likes of Cunha, bringing the likes of Mbumo into the game. So I think he's okay. Look, Neville will be impatient because the way Manchester United worked when he was there was completely different, and they'll make those statements. But I think I think to call it a mistake would be wrong. To be honest with you, I don't really agree with that.
I disagree.
That's all right, Deji, you can.
Yeah, that's all right, bro. I mean, we've never agreed anyway, and I know you're going to get to your segment soon, and I know I can see you taking your bum. The truth of the matter is, any striker that Manchester United buy should be scoring 20 goals, just like the Swedish Ollie Watkins Gyökeres. When Arsenal brought him in, they brought him in to score 20-plus goals. I asked,
but they couldn't attract Gyökeres, Dej, because of what they did last season. They couldn't get him, could they? Otherwise, they probably would have.
But
I think you've got to remember where United were. I think everyone was
I get that, but when you speak to United fans, they still believe, they remind us of the amount of trophies they've won. They remind us of their football heritage. And if that truly is the case, and if that truly has the influence on the modern day or the modern game, then they should be able to do just that.
I think they probably were able to.
What the Man United fans say just reflects about the Man United fans, or those individuals that are saying that. Fans that are saying we should be able to go and get Gyökeres are exactly what Terry said. They're deluded, because there's a reason Arsenal openly were playing the two players off against each other, and Man United had every opportunity in that time to go, hey, we're here, by the way. And what did they all do? Yeah, just sit over there for a second. I'm trying to get to Arsenal. And there's a reason for that right now. And that's because Arsenal are where they are. And Man United, even though they won all those trophies, are where they are right now, because football in a way works in cycles. And I am here right now for the somewhat downfall of Man United. But
and I get what you mean. We should be trying to sign strikers that can score 20 league goals a season. But let's play a game. How many strikers do you think are almost a guarantee of 20 league goals a year? Like in the world right now, we go, right, they're going to be a 20 goal a season striker, irrespective of the quality of their team. How many are there that you honestly think can do that?
6.
And it's how many are there? Who are they? Who they play for? I don't think those players United can sign. I think Harry Kane could score 20 league goals. We saw him play for bang average team in England for a decade and score 20 league goals a season. Harry Kane could, but Harry Kane ain't joining Man United. Who else could do it? Genuinely,
the only one,
maybe Lewandowski.
That was the only
Yeah,
one.
but Man United weren't going to sign Lewandowski. The only one in the summer, realistically, I think United could have probably attracted was Osimhen. I think he's probably the one that realistically, I think he could have probably moved to Manchester United.
And I liked him, and I wanted him. The only pushback I'll give to be objective. So subjectively, I agree. I'd have liked him. He wanted too much money, but I would have got him. The only objection I do have is that no big club in Europe was willing to pay the salary for his goals. And there's always something in that for me on an objective level. But outside of it, that's the only one. But I went and looked at the numbers here before we move on. I just went and looked at Rasmus last year per 90 minutes versus Benjamin Šeško this year. Benjamin Šeško, right? Okay, per 90 minutes already has more goals, more open play passes completed, more assists, more chances created, more passes attempted, better passing accuracy, more take-ons completed, more aerial duels won, more aerial and ground duel succession. And it's by quite a way. For instance, aerial duels, right, and ground duel succession, a 20% improvement. Aerial duels won, 3.9 per game versus 1.4. Take-ons complete, doubles him. Passes completed per game, over 4 more passes completed per game. He creates 0.4 chances more per game. He got no assists at all last year, Rasmus. So he's already beaten him on that. Open goals 0.4 per game versus 0.2 of Rasmus. So he's at least trending towards doubling him. The issue is when you actually look up in total, that's just over 500 minutes of game versus over 2,000 minutes. So that's when I look at it again to the fiction or fact question. Keep Rasmus and buy a midfielder. I don't think we massively improve. I think we'd be looking at what we'd be looking at now is a team that could control a game better. So maybe we didn't concede as many goals. That's a fair argument. But I don't know if we'd have scored as many because he's helped create goals. He's involved in the build-up play. He keeps the ball moving. So maybe the attack would have... We got to a point last year with Rasmus. Let's not rewrite history. Every time that ball went into him, we lost it. It was like throwing a tennis ball at a brick wall. It was just awful. And that's the element of the fan conversation I'm pushing back against. Could we have got better than Šeško? Maybe. But keeping Rasmus, I think would have left us in a worse position, even with Belieber in the middle, personally. But look, viewers, I'd love to get your take and your views on this, please, in our comments section below. Next question. We're gonna do this because Dan's here. We've got to do this because Dan's here, to be fair. Where's it gone? Where's the question gone? Here it is. It's not loading on my screen. I want to say it correctly, so I'm going to wait. Fact or fiction? Moisés Caicedo is now the best player on the planet in his position. And he's even more influential than Declan Rice. Facts or fiction?
In his position, I'm going to say fact. I don't know. I think the weight of the influence comes down to how important you might judge a holding midfielder to be in a team. I think Declan Rice can be incredibly influential for Arsenal this season. But I do think Moisés Caicedo and the role that he's playing at Chelsea right now is instrumental to Chelsea getting results. So, I mean, you look at that Tottenham game, Chelsea probably don't win that game without Caicedo making that action that he did to win the ball high up and creating the opportunity to score. So, yeah, I think he's the best in the world in what he does. But I think Rice may be more influential to Arsenal in terms of what they might achieve this season.
Dan, I'm so glad you're not certain other Chelsea fans on this panel. I swear to God, because I think they would have gone and said it's absolute fact that Moisés Caicedo is now the best player on the planet. Are you talking about any position overall?
No, the statement that I've, again, all of these fictional fact questions come from people's tweets. And it was Moisés Caicedo is now the best player in the planet in his position and even more influential than Declan Rice. So it's saying that he's a better midfielder. And my thing on the Rice and Caicedo debate, I was having it in a group chat last night with Don, and Don gets really specific around. They both play different roles. We're doing Enzo versus Rice, and he goes, "Well, I don't think Rice is a better 8 because I don't think Rice is an 8. He's a 6." I'm like, "But he's playing as an 8." No, he isn't. I'm like, "Well, he is. He defends and he attacks."
Rice is playing as an 8. He is.
Yeah, I just call that an 8. Someone who I see defending and attacking, it's just an 8. Like, we don't mess around with it. But in terms of, I want to redefine the question a little bit. When it says more influential than Rice, they both do different things, but they both are midfield players. So which one do you think is the better and more influential midfielder overall, Dan?
It's hard because I think they do different things for their team, and each team at the moment values what they do a little bit differently. Like I look at Caicedo and I think he's absolutely instrumental in that role as a 6, breaking up the play, winning the ball in certain areas, preventing attacks on Chelsea's defence, which is arguably one of its weaker areas. And I think he does that so well, and he's shining in a team that, you know, has been a little bit inconsistent this season. I think he's been one of the most consistent players now for at least a season, maybe 2. So it's hard to say who's more influential, because I think Arsenal are in the position they are because of a player like Declan Rice at the same time. I think he allows Arsenal to, you know, play in a number of different ways. He's an incredibly well-versed midfielder in any position he's asked to play. You know, he can play as a 6 and do a fantastic job. We've seen him do that for England. We've seen him be pivotal in England in terms of being that defensive midfielder and their success in tournaments, or at least getting, you know, into the final stages. And we've also seen him move up into this 8 position for Arsenal and be incredibly important to them in big moments now as well, scoring late goals, scoring big goals against Real Madrid, getting on the ball, carrying the ball forward over a huge amount of yards. He's influential for them. You can't deny it. So look, it will upset people, but I'm sort of sitting on the fence there, because I both believe they're incredibly big assets for their team, and both teams would be far worse off without them. I think what I will say is Caicedo as a 6, as an out-and-out defensive midfielder, is probably above Rice in that role, but Rice can do things as an 8 that I don't think Caicedo can do.
Yeah, if you're talking influence and like you compare him to his peers, like it's a difficult one to judge, because I'm not debating Caicedo is arguably Chelsea's most important player, if not the best player in their team. But where does the likes of Pedri go into this? Because he's a different player, but he is so important to how Barcelona plays.
Team, if you were building an ideal 3 in midfield, you could have an 8 in Rice, a 6 in Caicedo, and a player to play as Pedri.
Yeah,
like that would be unbelievable. It's almost like your perfect midfield 3. I think the one thing where I'd probably say Rice might get the nod in terms of influence is as a leader. I believe that he's probably the more natural leader of the 2. I think Caicedo probably leads on the pitch of his performances, but I think Rice is a vocal person as well, probably in the dressing room, around the club, is someone who I think probably acts more naturally as a leader.
I hear it. I think because I feel like when we speak to Chelsea fans about Caicedo, they always give the whole he's better than anyone else. There is no debate. Like Declan Rice can't lace his boots. They go to the extreme about this, and we're like, you're not talking about a random scrub. You're talking about one of the best players in the Premier League. Like Declan Rice is up there, Caicedo is up there, and I'm gonna be quite bold with this, and I think people have really forgotten his importance to my team, and is Gravenberch. I think people forget how important this guy is to how we function in that midfield. You saw against Aston Villa how good he was, and how dominant we were because of the performance that he put. And even at the start of the season, chipping in with goals, his intercepting, everything. I think he's got to have a shout in this. And you're talking about influence. He's arguably just as influential for Caicedo as he is for Caicedo at Chelsea as he is for Liverpool. So it's an interesting one. Look, at the end of the day, I think that the whole debate surrounding this is that people go to the extremes about this, and people need to remember you're comparing 2 world-class ability players in Rice and Caicedo. But for me, like you said, I think Rice has shown on a consistent basis for the last 5 years, even with West Ham, that he can play to a very high level. So that's why maybe people will take him out of Caicedo.
Deji, do you feel like you've got anybody inside the Tottenham team, the Tottenham squad, that competes with Rice, competes with Caicedo, is on their sort of level in the midfield areas? No,
unfortunately, we don't. If we did, we wouldn't be losing to Chelsea on the weekend.
No Palhinha?
So, Palhinha, nah. Palhinha is the best of a bad bunch, to be honest. You know, he didn't have much competition in that midfield. I would like to see a lot better quality there. I actually wanted to see, is it Edison from Atalanta maybe playing that role? Adam Walton maybe playing that role at Spurs. You know, those are the sorts of players that I'm looking at who potentially down the line could challenge. I guess for me, that my only kind of 2 cents for our American viewers is that who can live without who? I think Arsenal can manage without Rice, but I don't think Chelsea can manage without Caicedo.
But I don't think you can use that
There's
as
a pushback.
against one or the other, because that's just down to squad. That's just down to the team that like Arsenal have spent a lot of money on good players like Zubimendi, whereas Chelsea have got Enzo and Caicedo, and they haven't really strengthened in that sort of way that Arsenal have. So I think it's a bit unfair to use that as a yardstick. But everything else I think you've said has been pretty spot on so far.
Yeah, okay.
But sorry, I'll let you continue. Sorry, carry on.
No. That was the only thing I was going to say. But what I and just kind of harping back to the conversation we had about Manchester Piccadilly, those are the sorts of level of player that you kind of need if you want to be competing at the top. And what you have done, what we are talking about is world-class players, and I think that's what's been missing. That's what's missing in Spurs' team. When I look at my team today, we don't have a world-class player in our starting 11. Maybe if you squint hard enough, Romero, and that's about it. Whereas these players are, these top 6 teams or top 4 teams, more than one, world-class player. Caicedo, world-class. Declan Rice, world-class. And yeah, definitely they deserve all the props that they get. But I do think Arsenal can cope without him, whereas Chelsea definitely can't.
It's an interesting one for me because I think they're both amazing, and I'm so excited about Arsenal playing Chelsea to see kind of who influences the game the most, and they do influence in different ways. I think it's a really fair thing that you said there, Dan. They do things differently, and I agree with a lot of your assessment. Where I look at it this way, I would say marginally, Caicedo is a better 6. Not much in it, but a better 6. I think playing as an 8 and being more attacking, I think Rice does things. I don't know if Caicedo can do them because we're not getting to see it. But until you see it, you don't know, right? We can all have an opinion that I think he could do what Rice does. But Rice, that's why I look at him. If you look at it as and I've noticed this a lot in football debates, and I don't know if you guys have seen this on your own platforms when people come on or other platforms you go on. Everybody's now doing this whole, we can have the debate, but we need to remove corners. We've got to remove non-penalty goals. We've got to remove when you play away from home. I've got to remove when it's raining because my guy isn't good when it's raining. If we take away all those things, now we can have the debate. Have you guys seen that a lot? I don't know if it's just me. Yeah. I'm noticing it more and more now. People want to take away
removing the goal
elements. Yeah, people want to take away actual elements of football. So for me, one of the reasons why I put Paul Scholes so highly in the Scholes-Gerrard Lampard debate, and I always did, is that Scholes throughout his career, and age, there was an age element to this as much as a necessity, but he was a brilliant attacking midfielder, a brilliant central midfielder, and a world-class holding midfield player. He played all 3 roles impeccably well. We know he could do all of them. Gerrard was an amazing midfield player. Amazing. When he got a little older and went into a more DM type role, he was good. He weren't Paul Scholes good. Do you know what I'm saying? Frank Lampard couldn't hold a midfield. What, sorry?
Because Scholes had Carrick. Gerrard was doing what Carrick was doing. So he was basically that anchor.
Yeah. But he wasn't as good as Carrick at doing it, is my point, right? He wasn't of that level. But he was very good still. I'm not slagging him off. I'm saying that I'm just consistent in how I assess football players. And that's why when I look at the 2, I just slightly side with Rice as an overall midfielder because he can play both midfield roles. He can defend and he can attack to a very, very high level. And that's the only reason I slightly side with him, and it's very marginal for me because I think they're both impeccable. What I would give to have them in my Man United midfield, fuck me, them 2 in this double pivot right now, we could be in a title race. Not with Sheshko, no, only if we kept Højlund though. Only if we kept Højlund, not if Šeško's there. But yeah, I think they're both brilliant. What are you saying, Kane? Which are the 2? What do you make of the statement that's been made here?
As for the first part, is Caicedo the best player on the planet? I think that's fictional. I agree that he's probably more influential to Chelsea, or he's more important to Chelsea than Rice is to Arsenal. But I guess that's because I would still consider Rice a better footballer than Caicedo, purely for what you were saying in terms of he can do more. And we haven't really got to see what Caicedo could do in that area. I would still put Tonali ahead of both of them myself personally, but I'm unashamedly going to do that as well because I think he can do all the things that. And again, I'm not like we were saying before. It's not clear or anything. There's none of that sort of stupid. It's like we're splitting hairs here between these four players if we're going to include Gravenberch as well. But I think Tonali is a phenomenal player and has shown that he can do everything from the six as well. But I guess that's my 2 cents.
I was waiting for the Tonali shout.
I
was waiting for it.
Listen, Bruno as well, man. He's not as good. I think Bruno's like slightly below Rice and Caicedo. But listen, I got the pleasure of having 2 top, if not world-class midfielders in my midfield, and I'm not afraid to put them in that spotlight. Even if others won't. And Paul Scholes agrees with me, so there you go.
Do you know what I find interesting about? I think it's going to sound harsh. I just want to see Tonali.
I know what you're going to say.
I mean it. I want to see Tonali at a bigger club.
Yeah.
I want to test him. I want to test him at a bigger club, a bigger club who are at the peak of their powers, and I mean that. And this is no disrespect to Newcastle, and Newcastle fans will hate what I'm saying, but there is a truth in it. You know, you're sitting 13th in the league right now.
Yeah.
What I haven't seen yet, 10 games in, think pieces, major talking points on TalkSport. The world's media is ignoring it, and that's because you're Newcastle still right now. If that was Arsenal, if that was Chelsea, if that was Man United, if that was Liverpool, you've seen what the media scrutiny is like. And the reason why I think that's important is there is a different pressure when you go to one of those clubs to deliver, to perform, and how you handle it. I think what he's doing at Newcastle is amazing. I think he's a fantastic football player, but I still think there is a level to go up when it comes to handling that expectation. We've seen it already with players like Isak joining Liverpool. I know he didn't have a pre-season, but I do feel there's an element where he's going, fucking hell, this is a different animal. This is a different beast.
Terry, I've got to disagree with that, though.
Go on, then.
He did play for one of Italy's biggest clubs in AC
but they
Milan.
weren't at the peak of their powers. That's what Terry said.
No, but still the pressure. No, but still the pressure of being the main guy for AC Milan and leading them to a Serie A as well. That people forget. The pressures that are of playing for AC Milan is still very, very high. It doesn't matter how big they are; the pressure is still there.
I hear you, right? I hear you, and I think it's a really good challenge. He was there. He only played for their first team though for a couple of years. Still very young, and there is a difference between being a young player coming through at a club and being one of the linchpin midfields. Now, go back to Italy now and pay for AC Milan. Go to Barcelona now, Bayern Munich, when there's an expectation. I think there's something different about that for me that I'd like to see him do, because nobody was talking about him as one of the best midfielders in the world when he was at AC Milan. He was talked about as potential back then, and a lot of us liked him. A lot of us rated him. There is a difference in that conversation when there is an expectation on you to deliver because you've gone for big money or you're the main guy. I feel that's even like with Scott McTominay is a great example. He went to Napoli. No one expected anything. He's killing it over there. There's probably going to be the chance in the next 12 to 18 months for him to move to a big club again. There is. That move is a different test because it's probably going to be a team that he goes to with an expectation to deliver. Delivering against an expectation, I think, is a very different kettle of fish, personally. You know, and Chelsea's Fernando Torres saw that. You go to Chelsea for a big money move. That's one big club to another, but you go with an expectation to deliver because you're a £50 million player. Can you handle it? Which, by the way, for all the kids watching, that was a colossal amount of money for a player. That was probably £160 million in today's money. Yeah. So absolutely huge. On all of this conversation with Chelsea, I did want to ask, Deji, what went wrong, bro, on Saturday for you, and where do you sit in the conversation amongst Tottenham fans around Frank out and fossil football, etc.?
Yeah, well, let me start with the second question first, and I'll deal with the first one after. So, where am I in relation to the football? Actually, look, I suffered from PSD last season from the high line. So in terms of the fossil football, man, I actually don't mind the drag and the ball. I don't mind it, provided that
you're looking for that easy. You want your pipe and slippers after all those years of clubbing.
honestly, I was so stressed and upset by the whole thing that I went to, the Everton game was another ball fest, but I thought it was one of the best games I've ever seen in my life in recent time, simply because we managed to win 3-0, even though they were from set piece goals. I called out Thomas Frank about 2 weeks ago, and I was Frank out. And after the Everton win, people said, "Are you now Frank in?"
What?
And I said, "I'm not Frank in. I am. Let me see what happens." Now, I heard a gasp in this on the panel, and I'm not sure who it was. It was me. And I don't need to know who it was, but I need to explain about my club. For me, Tottenham is a Big Six team, and we should be challenging for top six, whether we like it or not. We should just be there. Whoever we bring in should be capable of doing that. And Conte showed us that it's possible. Now, the way that Tottenham are playing under Thomas Frank, I'm not so sure that Thomas Frank can guarantee Spurs fans top six ever. A lot will argue about the injury crisis. A lot will say blah, 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 this and that. But we are not bringing in a manager that can pretty much guarantee top six or higher, then I will say to you, what's the point? You will say he's only just arrived. He's played 9 games. Give him time. Give him time to do what? Give him time for us to finish 7th. Give him time to finish 8th. No, we're not playing those silly games. And for me, what is unforgivable for any manager, and I'm going to use this platform tonight to offer myself for the Spurs job on a pay-as-you-go basis. There is no way you can go to your rivals, your nearest and dearest, whether it be Chelsea, whether it be the Red Tottenham, the Spicy Spurs, Scotch Bonnet, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I don't mind. I mean, a friend of mine told me this. Look, I can do poor, but I won't do poor in a shithole. And it's a bit like that with Spurs and my club. Yeah? I can lose, but I'm not going to lose playing the pathetic football that I saw from my club. Never. The fact that Tottenham put in that pathetic, whimperish performance against Chelsea. I had Xavi Simons, who should have been. Well, we don't know what happened with Xavi Simons with Chelsea, but if I was Xavi Simons, I'd be saying, you know what? Let me show Chelsea. Let me show Bowley what it's all about. Instead, Xavi Simons is looking like little Bow Wow, yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. Rubbish. You know what I'm saying? So, no, it's not good. For me, it wasn't good enough. And for me, I don't mind if you don't play well, it doesn't go right, you lose the game, but I want to see some fight from my players. Did I see fight from my players? No. As soon as I saw Spurs go to the Emirates under Conte and Mourinho put out a whimperish performance, I said, get it out. Because if you can't motivate the players for a London derby, then I can't trust you to motivate the players, period. And for me, that is the issue. And for that reason and for that reason alone, I'm not sure Frank is the guy.
I think
I just got this view of, I do get you. You know, I'd rather be poor in Hampstead Heath than poor in Hackney. I do get you.
Levels to this.
What's your gut telling you, though, Dej? What's your gut telling you about how your season's going to go? Because you currently sit, if I go back and look here, you currently sit, what is it, 5th or is it 6th? You currently sit 5th in the league as an example, but it's such a hard one because you are only 2 points off of being top, but you're also just, I think mathematically, someone told me this the other day, 7. Yeah, it's true. You're closer to 17th than you are top of the league. The same as all of us, by the way, because Arsenal were that far clear. How do you see it going? Do you feel that if things continue as they are, do you think you're just going to just keep sinking, or do you feel 5th place is about where you'll end up? Like, what's your gut telling you?
Yeah, no, my gut's telling me that it's going to be it's going to be a mare of a season. It's not going to be a disaster like last season, but for me, a mare is 8th. I can see Tottenham finishing 8th, and that's just rubbish from my perspective. And partly because it's the way that we're playing ball. Just so you know, I did A-level maths, and it turned out on the weekend that Tottenham now has the record for the lowest GA since records began, because we managed to knock up 0.05. And so I for me, I was on my phone and I was just calculating it on my calculator. How do you get 0.05? Well, you get 0.05 by simply stepping on the pitch. That's how you get 0.05. You can't. That means you can't get any lower. Do you know what I'm saying? It was that bad. So for me, it's going to be a nothing season. We're not gonna challenge for anything. We're not gonna get relegated. We're gonna be in the middle, and that for me ain't good enough.
I don't know what you're expecting, Deji, man. I swear to God, because like you weren't going to challenge for the league. I think that's a cast iron fact. You weren't going to challenge. I don't think you're going to go out and challenge in the Champions League. The main aim for Tottenham was securing Champions League football for next season, whether that be top 5 or top 4. Now I'm looking at the table right now, and you're still ranked 5th in the league, 17 points. I think 2 points behind Manchester City, who are 2nd. And given the circumstances that Thomas Frank is in, bro, even though you like to say regardless of injuries, bro, I'm looking at your injuries and it's low-key kind of mad. Maddison's out for the season. You got Kulusevski who's out. Solanke's out. Dragason's out. Basuma's out. Archie Gray is out. And Bergvall is now out because he picked up the injury, which I think was a big part in why you flopped against Chelsea. And let's be honest, if you're looking at Chelsea in isolation, I said this in multiple previews. Chelsea is Tottenham's bogey team. I don't know why. I don't know how. There is some inferiority complex when it comes to Tottenham when they face Chelsea. I don't know why it's been like that since that the Battle of the Bridge back in 2015.
It's longer than that, mate.
Longer than that, according to Dan. So I don't know why. I get it. The football's not nice to watch, but for me, your team is already desolated, and you're still there or thereabouts in top 5, top 4 conversations. So me hearing Thomas Frank out. And again, after 10 games played, don't you think you're being a little bit over the top?
I think it's been about 3 years since me and you streamed together. So I need to just tell you, when I smell that it could turn left, it could turn left. I've been telling Liverpool fans from before the season started that Slot was on fraud watch. So when I'm telling. When people were taking their
you finished 4th last season, by the way.
Liverpool fans.
You predicted I watched one of your watch-alongs where you said you're doing the treble last season.
No, I said in order for
shall I bring up Big Ad's first season? He
would need to do a treble, and I was right because he won a trophy, and winning that trophy still didn't keep his job. So it weren't good enough. He needed to do a double or a treble. Look, the thing that I'm seeing with Thomas Frank, if Spurs fans, they probably won't agree with me, and I'm going to get a lot of slander in the chat. I just feel like Glasner would probably do a better job. I think Iriola would probably do a better job. I think Thomas Frank is a good manager. He's stabled the ship. We've got a bit of structure, but can he take us further? I don't think so. And I think because Spurs fans have suffered so much last season under Ange, even though we won a trophy, I think they're saying, yeah, we're just happy with being around 8th or 10th. And that, for me, is unacceptable. We were talking about standards earlier. For me, any manager that comes into Tottenham should be capable of getting us top 6. Now, you're saying about Tottenham are currently 5th. I wouldn't be saying this had they got a result against Wolves at home. I wouldn't be saying this had they got a result against Aston Villa. The point is, even when those players weren't injured, our attacking prowess is next to 0. It's just rubbish. Dej, that needs to get sorted out.
Dej, what do you think is going to happen this weekend against Manchester United? What's your gut saying? I mean, you've got a Champions League game in between. What's your gut telling you right now with us coming to your place?
I'll be honest with you, mate. Manchester United is one of the dustiest teams I've ever seen in my life. If we lose to you this weekend, Frank out. I swear down. We talked about you guys ain't what you used to be. So I'm expecting Spurs to roll you over. We played you 4 times last season. We slapped you up 4 times. If we don't slap you up and we lose, then get him out.
Wow. Where do you think he's like, given this current trajectory with Spurs, where do you think Frank's going to get you? Let's say he.
I think at best Frank gets Spurs 6 and not any higher.
So
I really
can't put you in your top 6 though, which is what you are.
Top 6. But I think, how do we move forward? Like, how do we get
better players?
Do you think with Thomas Frank,
I'm not sure. Even with better players,
Dej, do you think Thomas Frank doesn't allow you to dream? Because I feel like as a Spurs fan, you've always got a manager that sometimes lets you dream, right? And with Ange, it worked out. But I feel like Thomas Frank is so obviously only going to keep you sort of 8th, 6th, 7th at best. You can't get excited about it. It's true though, isn't it?
And that Dan is no joke. That's what I realized. I realized that he's going to do a better job. Is he going to do a better job than Ange? I don't know, but we are going to be top 8. That's
not
right.
There's not much excitement coming with it.
Yeah, there's nothing else. That's why I said it's going to be a nothing season. We're not going to challenge, but we're not going to get relegated. We're just going to be in the middle. And who wants to be in the middle?
It could be a top 4.
I don't think we can.
I would have said Carabao Cup, but we knocked you out of that. So,
do you know what's really funny, right? Have you guys watched it's not new now. I think it's about 10 years old. The Sweeney with Plan B and Ray Winston, the remake of the 70s TV show. There's an amazing scene in it, and I'm going to end up butchering this, but it comes to my mind when you spoke about when you said, Dan, that you don't let you dream. And there's one of the police officers in the car is saying, I've just got engaged to my girlfriend. One of the guys in the front, Plan B's character, said, well, it's not going to last. He went, why? And he basically said, because she's a 6 out of 10, right? And she's like, what do you mean she's a 6 out of 10? Goes, she's a solid 6 out of 10. And all the other coppers from the other cars are texting, yeah, she's a 6 out of 10. And he goes, well, why is it going to fail? He goes, well, because you're also a 6 out of 10. He's like, well, what's the problem with that? He goes, well, you're both going to keep thinking that you can both do better, right? And that's what happens. But he said, what you need is you even need, when you're picking a partner, and he said it for both directions, you even need to pick like a 9 out of 10, where it doesn't matter what they do, you'll fight to keep them and you'll keep the relationship going. Or they're like a 3 out of 10, so they fight to keep you. And just Dan's comment reminded me of that. It's like Thomas Frank and you together. It's like neither of you can really. You'll always think you're better than each other, and it might not be a match made in heaven. Sorry, it made me laugh. It's a great scene, but
that's a great analogy, right? It's exactly that. I mean, I'd be happy to be proved wrong. I think a lot of Tottenham fans, I've heard them say recently, he could do a Poch, and I think that's more. You're hoping that Frank could do a Poch, but I don't. There's nothing to suggest that could happen. And the fact that we're just let's see. We'll see what Spurs do in Jan. We're going to need at least 4 or 5 players. I can't see us spending that kind of money to bring in the sort of quality that he needs. But when I'm looking at the job that Ariola's done at Bournemouth, when I'm looking at the job that Glasner's done, I'm looking at Spurs, and I know it's still early days, but no player has improved under this brother. So, let's give him time, but it looks a bit naff for me.
I hear that. Dan, I know you've got to shoot it. I wanted to touch on Chelsea before you do, because it's a very good win for you. I thought you were very, very good at the weekend. Maybe the best performance of the season so far in the league anyway, in terms of
Spurs.
Yeah, maybe because it's Spurs. How are you feeling about Chelsea at the minute, Dan? Because you needed the win. It's been a bit up and down in the last few weeks, but you dominated them. You probably should have scored 3 or 4 more goals, to be fair. But overall, top. I wonder what that was. Skin coming off my tattoo. So this is skin flying. It's like confetti in here. My arm's peeling. Sorry, Dan. Over to you.
Yeah, do you know what? It's been a real sort of roller coaster of a season, and it was definitely a season that I was expecting a little bit more consistency for Chelsea. I don't think we've really got there yet, to be honest with you. That Spurs game, as much as it probably was one of our better performances this season, I still don't sort of find too much in it, because I think it's inevitable that we win that game. I think Spurs were poor. I think there's an aspect of Chelsea making Spurs worse than what they are. But Deji's right. Spurs didn't turn up with any fight or desire, and normally that's half the battle in a game like that. And I think Frank did fail to sort of liven them up enough. And I just felt like it was a run-of-the-mill game for Chelsea, and I can't really find too much in it to sort of judge where our season's going to go. I think we've just been too inconsistent. I look at our results this season. Most of our games have been pretty easy. I don't think we've had too many tough games. And when we've had challenges, against teams that have been in form, we've actually struggled. I think about Sunderland. Like we really didn't turn up for that game. I look at games where we've played teams that have been poor and we've just got results we should have, against West Ham, against Forest. They're the worst two teams in the league at the time that we played them, and we got results, and they've probably been our better performances this season. But any team that's been in good form, Chelsea have struggled against. We've picked up a win against Liverpool, but Liverpool were in poor form when we played them. I think about the Manchester United game, the Brighton game. All right, United weren't in great form, but they've gone on to be in better form since that Chelsea game, and it all went to pot, obviously, with red cards. I think Maresca made a couple of mistakes there. In the games that Chelsea have been tested in, I don't think we've stepped up to a level I would have liked to have seen this season. And I think you can say that in the Champions League against Bayern Munich. You can say that in the Premier League against the bigger teams. The Liverpool game we won late on. It's not like we outplayed Liverpool in that game for the majority of it as well. So, yeah, hit and miss season, and the Chelsea can definitely do better than what they're doing right now. They've got some key players out injured. We've just got to see how that sort of changes when they return.
I think you're being harsh on West Ham. They're a really good team,
They were the worst team in the league, though, when we played them.
I know, I was making light of it.
They were decent, actually.
I'm not even going to lie, right?
Game. To do you a favour, like, they were good.
Sorry, Dan. I'm not going to lie. West Ham, it's one game. They picked up a little bit yesterday. They actually looked. I actually thought they looked quite good. As opposed to, I know you didn't perform to your best, but I thought West Ham looked good. Nuno do anything. I love fucking Nuno. But I'm annoyed. United have literally got two games against Wolves and one against West Ham. It's coming up soon, almost back to back. And I just know our luck that we're going to come to you when you're West Ham and Wolves, when they actually start playing better, because they were those teams in the first 10 games that you were just guaranteed not just wins against, but to score 3 or 4 goals. And we had them in a short space of time, and we're not going to get that luck, are we? Gary O'Neill's going in there; they're going to be a lot better. But yeah, it was nice seeing Newcastle lose again. Is it nice sort of being back where, like, whenever I go back to East London and go back to my old housing estate, I love it. I feel like I'm at home back there. There's not the lovely countryside walks like where I live now, but do you feel like you've gone back home being 13th? Is it nice, Kane?
Wow.
Listen, poke your fun now while you can, because come the end of the season we will be on top, and I will remind you of this conversation. Listen, I think we are underperforming. I said in the group chat, I think we were underperformed by about 5 points. I think obviously West Ham, we should have won that game, and Leeds we should have won. Other than that, I haven't got too much grumbles. I mean, you go through the games, a draw away at Aston Villa. I mean, talk to Man City fans, they'll tell you that's not a bad point. An away draw at Bournemouth, 2 last-minute losses, 1 to Liverpool with 10 men, 1 at Arsenal from a guy who should have been sent off, in my opinion. And then Brighton, I swear to Christ, I will not celebrate a player retiring more than when Danny Welbeck retires, because that guy, I swear to Christ, has scored about 15 goals against Newcastle. And I pray, I hope he stubs his toe the next time he has to play us, and that he ends up having to retire or something, because
No, that's not nice.
I hate Andy Carroll haircut. What the fuck, man?
You do, yeah. You have got a bit of a little bit of a homeless Andy Carroll look going on.
Listen, I just tie it up, man. It gets in the way. I had a shower just before, so I gotta get out.
Does it look like Colaccini when it's down?
No, I wish. Colaccini had a fine set of hair.
No, he looks like Joe Wilkinson when it's down.
Nah, it's more like Rams, to be honest. Bit longer, maybe.
Who?
Ram.
Oh, you look like Ram when it goes down.
I mean, fuck's sake. I
was like, oh, you turned Sri Lankan. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I suddenly have darker hair complexion. But
look at you.
It's a bit like Colaccini, I'll give you that.
With it down, it's a little bit more. It's like Joe Wicks, I thought. Bit Joe Wicks.
Yeah, that's a shout.
Bit Joe Wicks, actually. A bit Joe Wicks.
I'll keep it down then. Joe Wicks time. Joe Wicks is here.
Actually, it looks better down than up. It looks better down than up. It's there's an old joke about men with ponytails, and I can't remember it. Why is it?
I think it's the same about guys who have both their ears pierced, something like that.
Yeah, I never had that done. Just the one. No, I think I did have two in the Beckham days. I had two diamonds. One up the top.
Wow.
One up the top. I nearly got my eyebrow done as well. I never got round to that in the end. That was living in Essex. Living in Essex is a danger to you. Do you know what I mean? It's because anything goes in Essex. It's a place, mate. It's a place. Are you that way, Dan? You Essex way?
Me?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm West.
Oh, you are proper West then. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to live in Southend. That was for a year. It was awful.
Footy Corner here says even with it down, you look equally homeless.
Do one.
No, we're only joking. He doesn't. Welcome, Hassan. Thank you for joining us, bro. Appreciate you being here on the show. But listen, on a real level, I think Newcastle will be okay. I don't actually think you've played badly this season. I think you've just what you've actually struggled with. You've only scored 5 goals from open play, and you've not been good at set pieces.
Yeah, I think it's that final. It's that final touch, final pass in and around the box. I think we progress the ball just as good as anyone. Our defense is up there as well. It's just, I mean, if we take the West Ham game as an example, the credit to West Ham, they packed that box. We couldn't really make any chances. And if you look at their goals, it was a rocket from Paqueta, which Nick Pope really has to do better with. I'm sorry, that was Onana-esque with the old Weetabix hands. And then an own goal, like it is what it is. And then they got the last a last minute garbage time goal. So credit to them.
Just before you scored, Bowen hit the post. Like I thought West Ham caused you problems yesterday, and I was quite shocked to see that.
Yeah, I think part of it is also what Eddie Howe said. That I think some of the players right now are a bit mentally weak, and I think someone said it in the chat earlier, which I think was right. I feel like sometimes we play to our opponent's level. When we're up against the big lads like Liverpool, your Arsenals, we go toe to toe with them, and like I said, it comes down to like last minute goals. But against West Ham, we just weren't there, man. It was annoying to see. It was just a bad game. But listen, we dust off. We have, I think, Athletic Club tomorrow, and then we go again in the weekend. So
just quickly, because I've actually got to shoot, but I was really underwhelmed and have been a number of times this season with Anthony Gordon. Is there any reason for that? Because I feel like there was a lot of hype around him potentially getting that Liverpool move last season. He looked really, really promising, but I just don't think he's got to that level yet this season.
Fits and spurts with Anthony. I think when we played in number 9 the first few games, I said when I came on here, Anthony Gordon experiment at number 9 isn't working at Newcastle. I think when we moved him back onto the left once Nick came in, he looks like a much better player. I think he is starting to get better. Like I'm thinking about the Benfica game, the Union Saint-Gilloise game. He was top level. He's just a bit inconsistent right now. I don't think he's anywhere near what he was 2 seasons ago. I think last season he wasn't that as good as he was either. I think he had a downturn, but I still got faith in him. He's got all the characteristics. I've seen bits of it so far this season. It's just we need to start stringing those more consistent performances now.
Do you think you've ruined your own season with the Isak transfer?
No, I think he ruined our season with the Isak transfer. I know what your feelings are.
Don't be wrong and strong. Just tell me what you truly believe.
No, I actually think we had good.
It's all over. Like now, you're not emotionally invested. He's a Liverpool player. He ain't even playing anymore. Like for us, so it's nothing. Like we can have an objective conversation about this now that the dust is settled, as they say.
Sure. So
because I think I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you my opinion, and then you can tell me I'm wrong, I'm right, whatever you think. I think Newcastle have ruined their own season, Isak's season, the Swedish national team season, and Liverpool's season. All by just being stubborn. I did shows with Terry every fucking week, and he'll tell you the sorry for swearing, but I had to say that because I'm still annoyed at it. Every week, Newcastle journalists, Newcastle fans, we're not going to sell Isak for less than 150. Put the 150 or shut up. Put up or shut up. Put the money on the table. Blah, 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 blah. He's contracted. Legitimately now, let's say we go back to the month of June. Let's say Newcastle sell Isak in June for 125 million. Objectively, genuinely, don't you think that Newcastle, Liverpool, Isak himself, and Sweden would have been better off if that happened? Legit.
No, because we didn't have a replacement. and Terry will back what I said, because I was also on Shaw's during that whole summer, and I was saying it was more about the replacement. And now the money wasn't, it was 150 when we didn't have a replacement, because you got to pay over the odds when we don't have a replacement. As soon as Nick Voltemada came in, then we had a replacement that we felt was good enough to waylay that difference. Because as you saw at the beginning of the season, when we didn't have Isak because he went on strike, we had to play, we were relying on Anthony Gordon playing out of position and a young Will Asula who's not ready to start for Newcastle at the Premier League level. And so to expect us to reduce our, because what you got to remember, Hassam, is Newcastle are not in the transfer market to please Liverpool, to please Isak. They're in the transfer market to please Newcastle. And it went the way it went. If we had a replacement in June, then yeah, sure, I imagine we would have sold Isak to you at that time, but we didn't. So unfortunately, you've got to sit.
That's not my claim. My claim is you let him go in earlier. You give him the preseason with Liverpool, therefore making him better and us better. You give yourself more time to find the replacement. No, I'm being genuine about it. You give yourself more time to find the replacement.
No, I know you're being genuine.
Finding a replacement quicker. I know Walter Maid has done really well, but I'm saying, like, you get yourself a replacement way quicker. You integrate them into the side way quicker. You then get all the drama for 3 months. And to be honest with you, I think everyone would have been just better off. You know, I was having this conversation actually with Mo 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
If Newcastle sold Isak on deadline day for 150 million, everything I'm saying right now is bullshit, because you stood your ground and got the money. But the fact that you sold him for 125 shows me that he just done this earlier. Everyone would have just been like, in a way better position, including your own.
They were getting rejected left, right, and centre by every single striker.
Yeah. What you're neglecting there is the presence of a replacement. Now, again, like I'll reiterate the position that I had. If we do not have a replacement, I believe the price would have been 150 or go kick rocks. Because we got Nick Voltemada, at the time we got Nick Voltemada, then the price came down to 125, because I assume at that point as well, we also probably had an agreement with Brentford to say, okay, we'll pay the 60 for him as well. So it's the replacement was the important part here. The number was only there based on the replacement. So you can't say, well, if we just sold you 125 in June when we didn't have a replacement, everything's fine. Because even your statement in itself is just silly, because you went, well, Liverpool's better, Isak's better, Sweden's better. None of those points were Newcastle better, because I
actually think Newcastle will be better as well.
Well, no, because we didn't have a striker at that point, is what you're saying.
Yes, but then you can go and get the striker and give him time to have a whole preseason.
I would rather have one bird in the hand than two in the bush, as Terry would tell you.
Yeah, but the bird didn't want you. The bird is trying to get away from.
Do you know what I would say, gents? To be fair, I think that there are right and wrong reasons on all sides here. I do think the saga has had an impact, though, because you started slowly. Yeah. But there's another player, though, that isn't getting enough conversation around him. And do you know that Elanga, £55 million move, has not scored a goal in 7 months of football?
Yep.
Wow.
And this is also something that, as much as, and this is why last year he was doing very well at Nottingham Forest, and there's always you leave United, you get better. And he was doing well, and I praised him. But I still said to a lot of people, I'm not doing the revisionism. There is again, teams have far more respect for Newcastle than they do Nottingham Forest. And Nottingham Forest benefited last year from every team they played attacking them, meaning there was loads of space to run into. Newcastle have shown themselves to be a much more deadly team, in my personal opinion, and a better team over the past few years. So there's less space to run into. And I'm not overly surprised. I see people on the TL, I can't believe he's always on the bench. I can't believe he's been dropped already. I'm not surprised. Where Elanga is brilliant is if you guys are already winning a game and you haven't been winning many games, and the team starts chasing it with 20 minutes to go, that is where Elanga will come alive, because their line pushes up higher, you knock a ball over the top, he gets onto it. But when teams are sitting back and there's little room to play in, I don't think Elanga is that guy. And that's another area where you've done £55 million on him. And I'm looking at it at the moment, and I'm not writing him off yet. It may come good, but I'm looking at that 55 million and I'm starting to get Brennan Johnson vibes. I don't.
No, I won't go that far, Terry.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I wouldn't go Brennan Johnson far.
Well, no, Brennan Johnson's done better than Elanga in English football, I suppose. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't go that far. It's harsh on Brennan Johnson.
Wow.
Wow. You just totally shot on Newcastle there, I'll be honest with you.
Nah.
That's fine. He likes to do that. Yeah.
No, this is a fair point because, like,
No,
even
the
in
thing
the,
is, they just fucking wasted everyone's time the whole summer. Like, just if they got the 150 million, everything I'm saying is total bullshit. But they just accepted the 125 in May. Yes, it's a bit selfish.
Again, well, if
I
Liverpool
think
did
the,
buy
no,
Ekitike,
hold on. I think Newcastle
No,
just signed the replacement quicker because they had pressure from the fan base, from media, and everything. So they got a replacement quicker. We don't know what would happen in the Ekitike situation, as an example. I still remember at the time the conversations were like, we don't think they can both coexist at the same club. And then Liverpool went like, take this, and we're gonna get them both. But I still remember the beginning when this whole thing was happening. People were saying, you let us have, Ekitike will let you have Isak and vice versa. But listen, that's just my 2 cents on the situation.
And I appreciate that, but what you are talking about is literal conjecture. You have no idea. Liverpool went, well, if you give us Isak, we'll give you a free run at Ekitike. If you give us Isak, all right, lad, me bother, douche, like, and then like that's what you're talking about here. So
I hear that. Look, we've got to move on. We've got to move on to another fictional fact question. But Ash has joined us. He hasn't turned his lights on, but Ash has joined us. And it's just because I wasn't on the show. I heard you give it the absolute big one about Newcastle this week. Is that true?
Mate, we had a howler. That was the stinkiest performance I have ever seen. Like, that second half, oh my God. I hope no one watched that because
I did.
It was dross, man. It was dross. I'm hoping. I don't know what to say because that performance was absolutely terrible. No, Lou, stop laughing. Listen, it just wasn't it. Look, I'm hoping that we're saving us for the Champions League. I'm hoping that's what it is. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If anyone in this panel could please explain to me what any of Eddie Howe's substitutions were going on in this game, because I was lost. Like, bro at half time. We ended up having 4 centre-backs on the pitch. What's going on there? We had Harvey Barnes on the right. We did the half-time substitution was Voltemada, Gordon, and who was the third one? It was Emil Kraft, was it?
Yeah, Kraft came off.
Kraft for Shaw, and then we had Shaw, Ramsey, and Willisula up front. It was just such a weird game that we had. And also, Hazam, what you're saying about the 125 for Isak, listen, you would have got that back in May if you guys put the bid in for 125. But did that happen? No. You put a bid in for 110 because you guys were cheeky little buggers when we said the price of him is 150. And what happened? You came in. If you came in 125, I reckon we would have said 130, call it quits, sorted. And then we would have kept an extra 5 mil for his little clause that we ended up keeping. But
look, at the end of the day, man, for me on that issue, yeah, you guys were getting rejected left, right, and center. I saw so many strikers being linked to your club. I saw Sesko, I saw Ekitike, I saw so many clubs. I was wondering whether you guys could actually sign a striker at the end of the window, but then he ended up getting Walter.
There is another argument, just for argument's sake, though. Maybe some of these strikers were sort of saying no because you were telling the world that Isak was going to stay, and they're thinking, well, I'm not going to be the first guy. Maybe if Isak was gone in the May, then the Lap or some of the other strikers may have gone, well, I'll be the main guy. Because even when you were chasing Šeško, there still wasn't a guarantee that Alexander Isak was going to be gone. So that's the thing with this argument. We'll never, none of us will ever know. We will one day. One day the autobiographies will come out and it will be discussed.
I think Eddie Howe has always had the plan to have Isak and Ekitike as, because we've tried to sign Ekitike on previous windows. Like but back when he ended up going to PSG instead of coming to us, obviously Eddie Howe wanted him. So I think we literally wanted the front that the Liverpool got. Just Isak's deciding to not score or do anything.
Wow, Ash, that is so greedy. Ekitike and Isak. Wow.
Hey, listen, we've came out with 130 million.
I don't know if you're. I'll be honest with you. I've got it on good authority that you might not sustain a title push if you have those two playing as strikers for your club. I've heard a rumor. I don't know if it's true.
Listen, I heard they can't even play in the same team together. I heard Ekitike is what play. How many games is it, Hassam?
By the way,
4 games left wing.
On Isak, how long's he injured for? How long's he out for?
There's a groin injury.
There's a groin, right?
Yeah, it's going to be
Groin
quite.
again.
Is
Be a
it
while
6
then.
weeks? I'm
We
guessing?
have no idea at this time.
Oh,
Yeah. He might be going back to Real Sociedad to train over there. I'd be careful. I'd be careful.
It's on this guy now to carry Sweden. You know, so we'll
I like
see.
that. I like that. I'm going to do some super chats. Then we're going to do the next fiction or fact question. This will be a good one. This is not a Frank issue. Spurs hasn't had a world-class player on the pitch since Kane left, but don't tell them that when it comes to combined 11s. Listen, I know Deji's not here to speak for himself, but I do agree. I think
I wasn't here either, but I'll be honest with you. Anyone like Frank out, bro, you're fifth. You know, you're so much better than last season. I understand. I'm not like you. You can feel that way, but you're in fifth place, respectful. You're Tottenham Hotspur. Like, I hate when people do this, you know? Same with the Newcastle fans as well in the summer. Like, it's just your Spurs with all due
I'm going to be a little bit self-deprecating now. Sometimes I get DMs from our followers and subscribers, and I respect them. And it will be when a really big YouTuber has had a big gig, or I don't know, a presenter wins like a really prestigious sort of award for like broadcasting, and I go, "Bruv, you should be winning this, man." And I'm always like, "Thank you," but on a real level, I know my place. Like, I'm good at what I do. I love this platform. I know where it is. But there are just some, you know, when someone's sitting there with 4, 5, 6 million subscribers, getting 10 times the views that I get, more in, like, generally speaking, I'll look at that and go, they're just better. And I feel like sometimes we as football fans do that to our football clubs. The same way as my followers sometimes go, you deserve that. Well, that's because you think I'm the best, and that's lovely. But that isn't always the reality of the situation in life, if that makes sense. It's sometimes just like I've learned as I've got older to not like act that way. Like, know what you are, and you're actually really comfortable with it. Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, I say this about, I'm not going to speak about women, I speak about men. But if you're a man and you're like a 4 or 5 out of 10 looks wise, don't walk around like you're Brad Pitt. It's not going to end well. Just accept what you are. Do you know what I'm saying? None of you boys are all stunning geezers on this panel. Honestly, we look like table 9. But it's just one of them things. It's one of them things.
Even with my hair up, or is that...
Sorry?
Even with my hair up, or is it just when it's
No,
down?
you look better with your hair down. Don't put it back up again, bro.
Yeah, 9 when it's down, like 5 if it's up. Yeah?
Table 9. We're table 9.
All right, cool.
You guys have never seen The Wedding Singer, have you?
No.
Just go on to YouTube after this and put Wedding Singer table 9. And I included all of us, me as well. Zubimendi is the best 6 in the world. Chelsea fans don't even compare Caicedo because Zubi clears him. Put some respect on him. Rodri said he's up next.
Wow.
Zubimendi is not the best 6 in the world because Vitinha exists at PSG.
Yeah, different types of players, and Vitinha does it better.
And because Rodri, yeah, but they play the 6. Can we not do this whole different? Like, every time we make a player comparison, like, oh, everyone's different, bro. Everyone's different. But Vitinha currently is the best 6 in the world. I stick by that. Based off his performances, like, he runs that PSG midfield, bro. And I still, with Rodri, I've got to respect what Rodri's accomplished in the game. I know he's injured right now, but I'm sorry, I just can't push Rodri to the side. Like, you tell me tomorrow, if I've got the Champions League final tomorrow and I've got to choose one DM in the whole planet to start in the final, I'm choosing Rodri.
Don, you're forgetting about one other. Gravenberch, our own 6 as well. One of the best. I'm telling you, one of the best. One of the best in the world.
He respectfully disagrees.
Clearly, certain people disagree with that point, but I know for a fact that I am right. I am right.
You're on an island all on your own there, my friend.
I mean, he looked very good early in the season, and I think it's gone a bit downhill. He was part of like of the 6 losses out of 7 games. Like, you've got to.
It wasn't his fault though. It wasn't his fault though.
It's a team. It's a team. We'll come back to this because we're going to run out of time if we don't move on. Right. This question, I saw this post. This is actually trending on socials today, and I'm going to go to Ash first, as he's just joined us. Fiction, fact or fiction? If Arsenal win the Premier League this season, Declan Rice will have surpassed Steven Gerrard's Premier League legacy.
Oh my days.
That's crazy. No. I mean, I see why that's a debate. Like, but people are just doing trophies. If you compare the actual player for the player, it's not even close. Like Gerrard's in a different level, man. Like I can't entertain that if I'm going to be honest. Like, look, what are people doing? Just going to say because Rice is, I mean, of course he's he's probably one of the main engines and reason that Arsenal would win the Premier League this season, but that's also down to the defense and everything. Like, they're not outscoring everyone. I just think this is just wrong. Like, right, the fact I've just seen someone say Gerrard was overrated, that is disgusting. One of the best sentiments I have seen.
Okay, can I put for a chat? I'll give my answer later, but let me give you a you know, it's not my statement, by the way. It's something I've taken from social, so everyone understands it. What would he have to do? Because this is legacy, not ability. So I think there is an argument to always say on ability, Gerrard will always be above him. But we all know that legacy isn't just about your ability, because there's been many a player with great ability that haven't got the same legacies as others, right? We all know that for an absolute fact, because there are you've had Xabi Alonso hasn't achieved in the Premier League what Jordan Henderson did. His legacy at Liverpool is better than Xabi Alonso. Did Xabi Alonso win the Champions League? Was he there for the Champions League? He was there, to be fair. But he won. But Henderson won both, and he was your captain. And I still think he'll rank higher amongst most Liverpool fans. What would Declan Rice have to do, in your opinion, Ash, where you would go legacy-wise, it surpasses what Gerrard did in the Premier League? What would he have to achieve, in your opinion?
Look, I think that is where the debate, I guess, can go slightly different, because if you look at someone's legacy, that ends up becoming more of a team-related thing rather than an individual player. So, yeah, if he wins, like, say, the Champions League, gets a Premier League, does some more stuff and carries on pushing Arsenal to challenge, then, yeah, there could be a debate about his legacy in the Premier League and his performance and his career. But as an individual player, if you obviously, like I said, if you compare the ability, they're two completely different players. Like I could never say Declan Rice is better than Gerrard, even though that I rate Declan Rice so incredibly high. I just don't think that could be a debate to have.
Very, very careful on the debate, just to represent the tweet right. It's not saying a better player; it's saying legacy.
Legacy, yeah. But that's what I'm saying is, so if you do the legacy, then of course, potentially, if he wins Champions League, wins, like, say, World Cup under England or something like that, this stuff will then be spoke about once he's retired and his career's finished. So yeah, but like I said, but that also always comes down to the team that he's in and what happens around him. Whereas obviously if Gerrard was in this Arsenal team, he would just be smashing goals, and I don't think there would be a
Arsenal would have won
debate.
the Premier League by this point.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was.
And maybe the Champions
I don't think
League.
he's wrong.
Champions League and a treble. Maybe
score more open goals.
I've seen Gerrard captain very good Liverpool teams and not win the league. So at Champions League, bang on. There's proof of that. There isn't any proof he'd have got them over the line for a Champions League, because he didn't get your good Liverpool teams over the line for a Premier League. Sorry, not Champions League. He ain't done that, Ram.
We were never good enough.
Would you?
You were.
Sorry, what?
You were good enough to win it in 2014.
As far as
Do you remember our defense, Terry?
I was going to say, it's the
If
thing
Gerrard
is,
hadn't have fallen over, you would have won the league.
If Alisson was in goal, then it wouldn't have been a goal. We could do the if but a maybe.
I don't think we won the league, even if
That's
the
not an if but a maybe. That's not an if but a maybe. You guys were purring at that point. You know as well as I do. Your players even agreed with this. If you hadn't have lost that game, and that Palace game would have been different. You could tell by the collapse at the end of it. But the legacy. Let's continue the conversation about this tweet that was put out today. What are you saying about this, Hussam? Do you feel that Declan Rice is having a very good season? If he kind of leads a team, is a linchpin, is influential in winning trophies, winning this Premier League, maybe winning multiple trophies this season, do you think that could surpass Gerrard? And I mean, you obviously someone that the other day was looking at what Mo Salah was winning at 34 and compared it to Hazard to show that his legacy has surpassed his.
No,
so
it's me taking the piss, and you bit the bait. I'm glad.
Oh, I thought you.
How I can reply for the next 800 messages.
Oh no, you spoke about it on those shows, and you've backtracked.
Oh, yeah,
fair enough, you've backtracked. Okay. But yeah, so I mean, go on.
I think first of all, we have absolutely abused the word legacy here. Because the word legacy is not just trophies. The word legacy is how you're remembered. That's the whole definition of the word legacy. Like there are players, and I'll use a different sport. people always, when they bring up as an example Steph Curry, they always say that he changed the NBA. He changed the way people play the whole sport. So legacy is not just let's put the trophies up on top of each other, even if you are a starter in this team or you're important or whatever it is, because players exist in different teams, players exist in different, you know, I'm gonna use an example here. If Isak scores 16 goals and Liverpool win the Premier League versus if Walter Matter scores 28 goals, just because the guy won the Premier League doesn't mean he's have a better legacy if this continues forever. So my thing is with this legacy debate is how you're remembered. And Steven Gerrard, 10 years after retirement, is still spoken about every single year since I've been on YouTube. There is a Stevie G hotel somewhere in East Asia. There is a whole Liverpool global fan base that became Liverpool fans because of Steven Gerrard, because of what he did for Liverpool Football Club. And in my opinion, legacy for me has never ever been just piling on trophies with each other, because I think the Premier League player with the best legacy, in my opinion, is also Thierry Henry. Because I don't look at legacy as just let's just pile trophies on top of each other. Yes, he only had 2 Premier Leagues, but he's remembered forever. 20 years later, a Panama player scores and goes to hug Thierry Henry and says, "You're my inspiration." That's legacy right there. Legacy is not just who won the most Premier League.
Do you know what? I'm not against your logic. I'm not against your logic there, but then I would argue that Beckham and Ronaldo have a greater legacy then, because Beckham and Ronaldo are even more globally well known and loved than even definitely
Ronaldo. 100% has a better legacy than Henry, but I'm just talking the Premier.
I'm just saying based on what you're saying, and Ronaldo would be the biggest, wouldn't he?
He's way better than Henry, 100%.
So Ronaldo,
it's different.
Well, no, but he's a Premier League player.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, Terry. When we're talking about legacy in the Premier League, I think it's 2 different things, because Ronaldo's more remembered for his Madrid days. That's the thing. Like, I believe Ronaldo is the greatest Premier League winger ever. I've never changed my opinion on that. I still believe he is the greatest Premier League winger of all time. But for me, he's still more remembered for his time at Real Madrid, really, than his time at Man United. Like, overall, in legacy.
Not to Premier League fans. Premier League fans remember him being, well, my age group. I think it's an age thing there. I hear where you're coming from. Like, I'm going to give my opinion on this because I'm playing host at the same time. I think it's fiction, by the way. So me asking questions isn't me making statements. If you're crying, that's because you've got to touch grass and get out of your bedroom. Like, it genuinely is. I think it's fiction because it's too early. Because I don't just count Premier League trophies as part of your Premier League legacy. One thing I despise in debates is, I'm talking about what he just did in the Prem. It's a stupid debate because you don't just play in the Premier League in isolation. You play in the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the Champions League at the exact same time. Therefore, you cannot discount it. It's not like at Wimbledon. It isn't like at Wimbledon, like every other day you're playing at the US Open. Like Wimbledon, you just play in Wimbledon, and then you just play at the US Open. You know, in football, you're playing multiple competitions at the same time. So I can't differentiate the 2 competitions. And Gerrard helped win domestic trophies. He had one of the greatest Champions League seasons that an individual and a team has ever had, accumulating in a legendary final as well. And all of that plays into your legacy. Where I disagree, don't disagree with the fame element. The fame element, of course, plays a part. But then at the same time with the fame element, there is also a popularity part that comes into that. And sometimes it's quirky. Sometimes it's a funny TV advert. Sometimes it isn't directly related to the football. Paul Gascoigne is a player nobody will ever forget. But most of the stuff we remember about him is him being pissed nowadays. And it is the great football. So I think we have to be mindful of that as a yardstick. Why is somebody so famous? I do think trophies are a big part, though. But and I'll always reiterate this, it's your influence on winning them. Gerrard was massively influential in every trophy that he won at Liverpool, as an example. Where I think Declan Rice could do it is he is already loved and adored by the Arsenal fan base. He's already loved by the English media, which Gerrard was as well, by the way. It's if he keeps performing like he does, if he has those Real Madrid moments, again and again and again, if he lifts the trophies along with it and wins a few Premier Leagues and wins a Champions League or 2, you've got to remember this. If he becomes one of the best players in Arsenal's history and wins a Champions League or 2 and a couple of Premier Leagues, we already know what Arsenal fans are like when it comes to legacy and noise. Henry is one of their players. Can you imagine what they're going to do for Declan Rice? They will be promoting him at every single level and he'll have it there. So I think it's a fiction statement to say if he wins this Premier League, he surpasses Gerrard. Do I think it's impossible to surpass Gerrard? No. It's going to be a hard job and it will never surpass him in the eyes of Liverpool fans. Of course he wouldn't. That's impossible. The same as Gerrard doesn't surpass the legacy of most top quality Arsenal midfield players in the last 30, 40 years. Why would he? But by and large across football, Declan Rice, if he is the linchpin in a number of title-winning Arsenal teams, one that wins a title for the first time in 20 years. You saw what that did for the legacy of certain Liverpool players who won Liverpool's first in 30 years. I think all that plays a part, but not this year. Well, unless he does something, unless Arsenal do something crazy like a treble, then there might be a debate. But I think it's far too,
you mentioned Henderson.
early. It's far too
Let
early.
me use Henderson as an example, and I'm being honest about this. What you just said about Henderson and Xabi Alonso, I actually genuinely disagree. I don't think Henderson will be remembered. I'm actually being honest about this. Like, I think when we say legacy, by the way, I say the same for Wijnaldum. I say the same for, like, when we're talking, we will always remember them as Liverpool fans. But 15 years from now, no one's going to remember Jordan Henderson other than the fact that he wore the captain's armband. I'm just going to be honest about this. Like, this whole, that's why when I say, like, okay, Jordan Henderson has like an unbelievable Premier League legacy because he won, he was the captain, and that's great and stuff. But once again, I always like to say how you're remembered. Like in the, let's use the Klopp era. I think it's very easy. A lot of people in the chat recall it as well. The guy with the best legacy in the Klopp era, to everyone, in my opinion, would probably be Mo. Then you've got to look at Virgil. Then you probably are looking at an Alisson. Like, we're looking at those three really as the linchpins of that whole situation.
You could be right, and you're speaking from a Liverpool perspective, but I think him being your captain, I think in 40 years' time, if he's at your ground, then he comes out to present an award to someone who's just broken a record. I think in 40 years' time, as the captain that won your first league title in 30 years, he won you a Champions League as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Was he captain then? As captain, I think he will be. I think he will be remembered. The difference between him and Gerrard is one, Gerrard's scouse. Two, he wasn't technically as good as Gerrard. Gerrard was a better player on ability levels. What do you make of this debate, Kane? I mean, what do you make of this claim that's been made?
Sorry, Kane, just before you speak, just one quick fact, just one quick thing, just one statement. Stevie G is the only English player in history as well to score in every single type of final. So we got to keep that in mind as in terms of like legacy, how you're remembered. FA Cup final, Carabao Cup final, Europa League final, Champions League final, Community Shield final, whatever it is, he scored in every single type of final. So yeah.
I mean, no, it's all good, man. Yeah, I think Terry, you kind of stole my thunder. I would go a bit. It's all good, man. Because I was going to say the same. I think I would go a step further and say that the statement in itself is kind of insulting to Gerrard to sort of say after one Premier League win, you automatically surpass someone with the legacy of Steven Gerrard. I think is a bit insulting. But in the same token, I would also say that's extremely unfair to Declan Rice because you put him in a conversation he has no right to be in, and I don't think a conversation he would even put himself in at this point in time because he strikes me as that kind of guy. So I don't want to say, when I say it's insulting, I don't again then want to make it sound like Rice is some sort of scrub or something like that. But listen, I agree. I think he has the potential, though. Absolutely. I think if he does the things you say, carries on, absolutely, he has every opportunity to. I just don't think one Premier League win wipes out not just the trophies that Gerrard won single-handedly for what I don't want to say single-handedly. He was in good teams, but he was like the guy. He was Mr. Liverpool for a long time, where Liverpool didn't really mean much to their fans in that compared to what they were and what they are now. And like Sam said, I think it's the memories as well. It's those goals against West Ham, that screamer against West Ham to keep them. Did he win the cup with that one, or was that?
Yeah, he won that.
Yeah, it's called the Gerrard final right there.
Yeah, obviously the night in Istanbul, being the captain as well. I think what the things that go against Declan at this point in time as well is, although he's seen as a leader, he's not. I don't know if he. I mean, Arsenal fans will correct me. He doesn't strike me as the leader at Arsenal. He's just one of many.
Good point.
Saka.
Sorry.
For me, that's Saka. But
for me, it's Gabriel. I don't know.
I was going to say Gabriel.
The way the Arsenal fans.
I think Gabriel is the real leader every time I watch him on the pitch.
As in the guy.
I think there's some great points there. I think that I do agree with you. I mean,
But Declan Rice does have an iconic moment, though.
He does.
Which is the Madrid free kicks.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, it's just free kicks. Doesn't matter. It
doesn't matter. Yeah, but that's what he needs more of as well. I think you make a great point there. And that's why I'm saying it's possible, but I would just say it's fiction right now. A few people saying, Terry, you're only saying this because it's undoing a Liverpool player, but it's not about undoing a Liverpool player. Who's the one person for 4 years now on socials that said this idea that Thierry Henry is the untouchable GOAT and there's no debate? I've said that's ridiculous. I'm the one. I would say I was one of the first, if not the first, football YouTuber to start pushing Mo Salah towards the conversations of GOAT. And he's a Liverpool legend because for me, no player should be untouchable. I actually think the debates are really healthy. The only thing I am throwing in is I do think there needs to be an amnesty at some point where we're not comparing eras, especially now with the rules being so different with VAR, 5 substitutes, and all of these things. I think there comes a cut-off point where you start comparing people. And there already is an amnesty because you always hear Premier League era, which is cutting off what came before that in the 80s and behind it. And I think we need to do something else along those lines as well. But it's all those things you guys have mentioned. There is the iconic moments. Can he, if they're in a Champions League final and he bangs in another free kick like that or scores a goal, if he can win multiple, it's about doing things that Arsenal have never done. Imagine he scores a winning goal in a Champions League final or a goal. Imagine he has a brilliant season like this year and wins him a league title, but then they retain it, which Arsenal haven't done in the Premier League era. All these things can add into it, but it's about having brilliant moments, influential periods in trophy-winning seasons. The one thing he will have on his side, though, is the English media love him, and that's always a benefit for you when the media has your back, because they will push for it, because the media also does this thing where, and I get why the media does this, because they put so many hundreds of millions and billions of pounds into the sport, is they've always got to make today seem like it was better than yesterday. And that's the one thing we all as fans, as we get older, the youngsters don't see it, but it's not until you get older and your legends are starting to have their kind of, that weren't true though, or how can you say that? No, that didn't happen. And it will happen eventually. And I think he's one of the names that's sort of on that kind of list of players that will get pushed in those conversations. But I do agree with you, Kane. I think it's far too early to be saying that yet. And I actually think Rice would be embarrassed if anybody tried to make that genuine comparison at this stage. I think he'd just say, shut up, man. This year says, funny coming from the guy who always uses trophies when talking about Arsenal. Gerrard is still about. What I will say about the trophy argument.
What's funny about this comment, Lau, is as soon as Terry mentioned Mo Salah and Henry, you were like, now, Henry's the GOAT. Why are you speaking about this? So when the shoe is reversed, all of a sudden you don't want to have that conversation. You want to know if I use the legacy debate using, and I'm going to be honest here, using the common consensus like legacy thing, Salah has a better legacy than Henry. More golden boots, right? I swear he has more golden boots or playmaker or some shit, like individually. Like I think he's got like more individual stuff to him than what. Actually, no, sorry, it was something else. He won the Champions League at Liverpool. Meanwhile, Henry didn't win the Champions League at Arsenal, as an example. See, we can both do this game. So my energy is consistent for everyone. So when I use trophies talking about Arsenal Football Club, I don't use that for player comparisons ever. I think Rice is better than Caicedo. Caicedo's got 2 medals at Chelsea. I don't give a fuck. I think Rice is better.
Well, yeah. Again, and it's about the consistency of it. I think trophies do play a part in the argument, but they're not everything. This here says, Terry, the fame element doesn't count. It's you who wants to make it not count to defend Scholes. We got our eyes, man. We can score 1,000 goals, but you are shit. We call it out. Well, let's think about. I didn't say the fame doesn't count. All I said is you've got to be careful about the fame. And do you know what I find interesting about Paul Scholes and the fame? He didn't push for those. He was talking about it on the overlap that he did one advert once and was like, look, not there. But everyone remembers the advert because he was in one of them. Gerrard Scholes, didn't push for the fame element, didn't do any of the celebrity catwalks or anything, but yet is one of the most recognizable faces and names in football ever in multiple countries. So he has that's why I say I discount the fame to a certain point, or at the very least look at why we remember somebody, because there are some footballers that are, Joey Barton has loads of fame as an extreme case. People know what and why and about him. You can't just take people knowing your name as the reason why. But the fact that Scholes didn't really do endorsements, the fact Scholes didn't have an agent, the fact he didn't date supermodels and wasn't on red carpets and didn't even do Man United's internal media, and yet he has still got the fame that he's got. Tells you that fame is purely based on football, and I think it's important to have that conversation. Now, of course, Henry had an amazing amount of fame, and Gerrard had an amazing amount of fame, but Gerrard's fame, right, outside of Liverpool, because again, Liverpool's a part of it, pales into insignificance compared to Wayne Rooney and David Beckham, especially, and Beckham, by the way. I mean, this man's been retired about 15, 20 years, and barring Ronaldo, I think Ronaldo and Messi has more followers on Instagram than every other professional footballer in the world. Because, and so, yeah, you've got, but equally, I don't think that makes Beckham, because he has that fame, better than players that he's less famous than. So we have to be really mindful of the fame thing. And it's like with all these conversations, JJ, I don't look for one thing that makes my player look better. I, in my mind, have a set rule of thumb. This is what I review, which is why I put Salah so high, because he ticks all those boxes. I don't suddenly find a reason to discount Salah from it. I just, well, you meet my criteria, you meet my criteria. That's it. And with Hussam, me and him have different views on this, but at least Hussam sticks to his criteria. That I respect. Yeah. It's the people that 1 minute say it's all about trophies, and then when a player they hate wins trophies, they start talking about something else. And it's like the Arsenal argument. The one thing I will say, if people say trophies don't matter, they're the same people that say I can't call Saka world class until he starts winning trophies. Well, then you can't discount it from legacy if you then put that pressure. It's people do, that's the bit that's annoying is the moving the goalposts.
One thing I think we failed to talk about in quite a bit of detail, and I think one aspect when I judge a player, which I don't think Declan Rice will ever surpass him, is longevity, because Gerrard's longevity spanned almost a decade. Like, he was still performing at the highest level from like around about 2001 to around about 2014, 2015. Like, he was talked about as one of the best. And the problem is with Declan Rice, only a couple of years ago, people started to talk about him as one of the best. Now, if you go by that logic, it will have to take him about another 7 or 8 years for him to really be talked about as one of the best. And I'm going to say this outright. By the age of 35, 36, I don't think he will be called world-class anymore, because only a handful of footballers in the history of the game was world-class at 36. Only a handful.
Yeah, how old is Declan Rice?
27.
Yeah, so Declan Rice has got to start winning and achieving now, really.
Ooh,
he's got
27? I never knew that.
Yeah, he's 26, turning 27.
27 in January, yeah.
But people forget, at the same age, Gerrard won that Champions League and won that FA Cup.
But this is it. This is why he's got to start doing it now. He's got
I'm sorry, I can't believe Declan Rice is 27. What the hell?
Well, he turns 27 in January. Yeah. He's been. You got to remember, he played 1, 2, 3. He played 6 full seasons at West Ham. Like, and this is his 3rd full season at Arsenal. Like, he's been around a decade now in first, almost a decade.
Like 24 or something. I swear.
Yeah.
No, he done very, very well. What he did do though, he did help lead West Ham to a European trophy, and that's a much smaller club. So you can't deny him that. Final question.
Again, you could question who was more important, him or Bowen, as an example, because Bowen was
who played better in the final.
Yeah, and scored the goal in the final too, Jared Bowen.
I hear that. Oh, hang on. Anton's here. Final question, because we are going to run out of time. Final question.
He's watching us in the background. Like the video.
Yeah, he turned it off, so I muted it. All right, final question, and it's on the same theme. So this was, I saw a big Liverpool account post this today, and I really wanted to ask a question, and it is facts or fiction. And I'm going to go to Ram first on this. I'd rather be 7 points behind Arsenal than 7 points behind Man City.
Oh, at this moment in time, I'll call it fiction, because I said this at the start of the season. I still think Arsenal are the better team compared to City. I don't doubt what City's done in the past with the records that they've had. But for me, the City team is still in transition. They've had a lot of incomings come in, the likes of Cherokee, Reinders. They still need to sort of bed in all these players and find a system that works out. With Arsenal, they're fully settled. They are there. They are ready to challenge, and they are ready to win a league title. I'll call it fiction. I'd rather be 7 points behind Manchester City just because of the quality. But yeah, Arsenal are the better team.
Do you know why? I don't agree with that. Like, it's because It's because you have to take into account the previous seasons and what happens when Man City's ahead. They don't let the pressure get to them and they don't drop behind.
I'll give you a caveat to that. This isn't the same City as previous seasons. Kevin De Bruyne is no longer there.
It's the same. Well, you say that, but the spine of the City team is basically the same.
No, it's not.
It's not. I mean,
okay, explain to me how it isn't from the
Antonio,
treble
your
winning
mic is
season.
really loud. Lower
Yeah,
the
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
loud.
explain to me how
I
the
hear you
spine,
breathe.
explain how the spine of that treble is not the same as the one now, apart from KDB.
Well,
What's the spine, right? Goalkeeper. Is the goalkeeper the same?
They've got a world class keeper.
I've done it.
Okay, but you said the question is it the same? You said it's the same.
I said
I'm
the
not,
spine.
I'm not debating if they're better
take away
or if they're not.
Take away
they're not the same.
So obviously you've got the likes of
Rodri is not healthy, so that's for one. Rodri was the best midfielder in the world by a mile at the time, and at the moment he's not even available. And when he is, he's not playing at the same level as he was back then. The center backs are much older and much more inconsistent. They're letting in chances all the time. The attacking midfielder is part of your spine. Spine means goes right down the middle of your back. Kevin De Bruyne is that Turkey. He's just started to play. That's not the same. Like Holland
but I'm
Holland
saying
is there, and Holland is a massive threat.
If you go for the team, it's about like
I literally just
five or six of the team that was in the treble is in the same starting 11 now.
Okay, but that's the thing that you're missing though, is that their bench, their second team was so much better. You had like in the year that we bottled the league from 8 points up, they had guys like Riyad Mahrez in that team. They had guys like Kevin De Bruyne in that team. They had guys like Ilkay Gundogan in that team. But none of those guys are available for them anymore. That's only about three. There's a lot more. That's off the top of my head, but.
No, but I'm saying, of course, they're missing like some of them good players. But I'm saying you need to also take into account some of these players haven't just completely disappeared. They still are there.
Just a quick thing on the.
But no one here. It's crazy. This conversation has been going on for like 7 minutes, and no one mentioned the big elephant.
Like Haaland.
No, there is an even bigger elephant. Baldy.
Guardiola.
Yeah, well, the fact he doesn't not win a trophy.
I'll be honest with you guys. I think this is a fact, and I don't think Arsenal fans should take it personally. It's just the reality. When, like 20 years ago, if I asked Arsene Wenger, would you rather be behind Mourinho or behind Ferguson? He'd probably say behind Mourinho rather than behind Ferguson, as an example. Like, I don't think this is an insult. This is the reality of the situation. The fact that Pep Guardiola is Manchester City manager, and the fact that he is one of the all-time great managers of, like, he's literally in the GOAT debate for managers, full stop. Forget Premier League managers or not. I'm saying managers, full stop. He has a legitimate case for a greatest of all time manager. There's not a regular guy we're speaking about. If I'm 7 points behind Manchester City, let's say, okay, I'm gonna use an example. Let's say 3 years ago, when Liverpool and Manchester City were in title race with each other, because we actually haven't been in title race since 3 years. 3 years ago, if I was 7 points behind Pep, I'll probably say it's over already. Like I would legitimately probably give up. As crazy as it sounds, I probably would give up.
Have you not given up then? Have you not given up? Yeah, no. You gave up the other day. Have you not given up now? Have you changed your mind?
No. Listen, I've already said we're like the complete underdog right now. It's like 1% chance. Where I don't think
I think you guys are missing one. It's a completely different. I've got the 2023 lineup right here. Like 4 of those players that are in that starting 11 are still there. Like that's more than half of the team is gone. Like Jack Grealish isn't there, Gundogan isn't there, De Bruyne isn't there, Ake is Ake still there? If I'm,
I think he's there. He's
still there.
Akanji ain't there. Edison isn't there as well. Like these. If you look at it, Edison, De Bruyne is probably the big one, and Gundogan's also a massive one. That is a complete shift. And if you compare it to what Arsenal have, whether we like to banter them about it, but it is a complete fact. They've had this team settled for about 3 seasons now. Like this is a team that's no words about the chemistry there, the synergy and the style of play is there. They know what they have to do in terms of trying to get wins. this is probably the best moment they have at this moment. And that's why I say I'd rather at this moment in time, I'm still with the fact I put so much respect on Pep Guardiola. He's done what he's done. But if you look at the team, Pep Guardiola is amazing because of not only his genius mentality, but also the players that he has. And for me, the players that he's got at the moment, I don't think is good enough to beat someone like an Arsenal team at this moment. For me, if you had swapped us Arsenal team with Pep Guardiola, with Man City's team, Pep Guardiola is walking the league, and they play better football as well.
I agree with what you said at the start, Ram. I think if this was City of 2 years ago, that'd be an absolute fact. But the Arsenal of this season, I mean, another game where they didn't concede a fucking shot on target. Like it was sort of funny, but also annoying. They were sort of giving Burnley the ball in the second half and go on. No, go on. No, it's ridiculous. I wish my team could do that, man.
And it's also Terry, like Pep Guardiola, we've seen it before where he's failed in some cases as a manager. Remember Bayern Munich? The only reason we was able to win the Bayern Munich titles was because his closest rival lost all their great players, and guess what? They moved to his team. So if you take out his best players and move it to your own team, then there's no one going to challenge you. So
no, I hear that. I hear that. Yeah. I do hear that. We've got a few super chats here. This one says, "What team does Chicken Little support? Bottom middle."
First time I've heard that.
Newcastle boy. He's a Newcastle boy.
I'm surprised anyone
Ash and UFC. If you don't know, get to know, brother.
Get to know. Yes. Salah and Gerrard have the privilege of being guests at Henri's table. Rice has just knocked on the door, and he has 7 years to get there.
I think that's a bit insulting.
Rice hasn't even knocked on the door.
No, he hasn't
even. Hang on. Sorry, Anton. Who's that insulting to?
That's insulting to Salah and Gerrard.
Oh, okay. Respect.
No. Because look. I'm a gooner, but let's not start rewriting history and start trying to tell me that Salah and Gerrard are nowhere near. Salah is the one player I'd say that is in a debate with Henri for who could possibly be the greatest Premier League player ever. His consistency over a large amount of time. I think that's very insulting to Salah and Gerrard to say that. Honestly,
do you know what
I understand it's for banter purposes, but. I know.
Do you know what the biggest problem that I think Rice has had over the Gerrard debate is honestly the fact that he left West Ham. Like I think staying, being the type of player who stays at one team and what
he left a
like,
team that wasn't good enough to challenge.
It's in like say one club being a person who stays at one club, right? I think automatically makes your legacy a bit high as it is.
But it was West Ham.
Only with that club.
Exactly.
You're asking Declan Rice to move mountains to stay at West Ham and then beat
but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying is, so at West Ham, if he stayed at West Ham, I think he would actually have a very, very good legacy.
No, there is no way. He could have stayed at West Ham. You could be at West Ham, literally be the best midfielder in the league for a decade. You'd never have a bigger legacy than a Gerrard, than a Lampard, than a Scholes. You can't discount, and you should know this after what you witnessed last year. Yeah. You can't discount those cup runs, those European runs, those league title run-ins, winning those trophies. They all, if you think about football, and you think about all think about football and all the players that we genuinely think are legends. Not, I liked him. He was quirky. Most of the guys who go legend, they'll fucking win things. There's barely anybody that sits in that category of legend who won. How many have won fuck all? Genuinely, Harry Kane, but he moved. He got one now. How many absolute legends does the whole world go legend and he hasn't won anything? Ooh.
I mean, you could start with their legend, their greatest ever player, Alan Shearer.
I mean, he did win.
He won the league.
I mean, I guess, but I'm saying with Newcastle.
What do you mean you get?
At Blackburn.
Very good shout.
I was trying to trigger.
No, but if you look at Europe, right? and
Matt
you talk about Matt
Letizia
Letizia,
is
then
unreal.
no.
But Matt Letizia is like a Premier League legend at Southampton. He's like a cult hero. He is not looked at as a legend of the game of football. He's not.
Yeah, I see a couple of people saying like Totti and Dina. Totti won the World Cup. Let's
Totti won
remember.
trophies.
Totti won
My guy
Dina
here,
Talley.
Dina
like
Talley's
Natalie
probably-
Cassidy here, man like Natalie Cassidy. No one talks about this man
I
as a
don't
world
think him
great.
staying at West Ham would have helped at all.
Yeah.
No, it would have hurt him.
The only
It would have
closest
hurt him.
one
More impossible.
is-
Think Mark Noble, basically.
what is it called?
Totti won the
Batistuta,
Serie. I
Terry.
swear, Totti won Serie A as well, at
Yeah,
least
he
once.
did.
There
He
we
did.
go.
Yeah, what about
My word.
Batistuta? Or did he win Serie A?
I see like Marco Royce right now. Marco Royce, did he win the World Cup? Was he
No.
there? I don't know. He might have been probably injured.
Yes, he was. He was.
No,
But
he
this
wasn't
is the
there.
thing.
He wasn't there.
Okay.
He wasn't
He
there.
Okay.
wasn't on the squad,
Okay,
yeah.
but
No.
Marco Royce is very good. No one talks about Marco Royce as a footballing legend. No one. He's not in that conversation. Never has been. Never has been.
Injury prone is what he
Never had been.
about.
Pirlo won nothing. Yeah, you're right. Won nothing.
Yeah.
Fucking
What
hell.
about Terry? Didn't
Oh,
Also,
yeah,
Pirlo
Mario
played for
Götze.
Juve, AC, and Inter. What are we doing here?
didn't Batistuta not win anything? Or am I bugging?
Really? Did Gabriel Batistuta not win nothing? But again, when you think about Gabriel Batistuta, our generation bring him up. When do you hear people involuntarily bring up Gabriel Batistuta? Again, he's not in. Maybe that's why he's not in the category. What did he win? Now he won the Coppa
Oh, he
Italia. He won the Coppa
Serie A.
Italia.
He won Serie A.
He won the league with River Plate when South American football was in its pomp in the 80s. So he won things. Come on.
He's won a Serie A as well.
The point
Terry.
is, you have to win. And again, I know he won the Conference League at West Ham. But again, you want to go to that next level, you've got to test your arm at certain clubs, man. You've got to do it, bruv. You've got to do it. Gascoigne never won the Prem. No, he didn't. To be fair, he won a lot of things though. Listen, man, I actually got a few more super chats here. This one says Salah and this here says we have all agreed that Henry had the most swag. I don't think he had more. I don't think he had, again. I don't think he had more than Eric Cantona. And you listen to what Henry said about Cantona and the fact that he probably wouldn't have been here and done what he did if it hadn't have been for him first. And it's really, really important to remember that. But that's an age thing. Terry is very cheeky. He has brought on a Chelsea fan in Dan who loves Arsenal players more than Chelsea, and Hussam who hates Caicedo. Guts. Good one, Terry. Well, it's not my fault people weren't available. Don't blame me. Steven Gerrard single-handedly lost the league. Rice didn't. The one argument I always push back on, though, is when Liverpool fans now say we were never good enough to win the league. I was alive. And I remember the preseason predictions by the media and Liverpool fans. I remember the hype every year. Only a handful of seasons, and you look at the sort of late Hicks and Gillette's era, where Liverpool weren't a top 4 team predicted always, in a title race predicted always, multiple times predicted to be the winners. I remember reading. I remember they'll do it this year. They'll do it this year. They'll do it. Gerrard played in some very good
extenuating
teams.
circumstances, Terry.
But also the
As in,
problem
like, the best time we could have challenged is I think in 2002. Unfortunately, our manager had a heart attack, so that was that. The only
But
one I give you
were very, very good.
Was 09.
But you were a very good team between 05 and 09. You were
07 to 09.
But you won the Champions League a few years. You're still a good team. You were still a good team. You were still a good team. Yeah, but you were a good team though that would hit inconsistent spells, and your team would have inconsistent spells. But you were still a very good team. I lived it. What you guys are doing though is you're seeing the way your results were, and again, yeah, they weren't very good, but at the time they were considered one of the best in the league. What I wasn't hearing at the time from Liverpool fans is, what do you mean we might come in the top 2? We're shit. It was, I think we can do it. You just didn't deliver.
That's always going to happen. That was hope. I always say, even when I was dead, No,
that's not true, because when your team did get bad under the latter Hicks and Gillette stage, they weren't being predicted to win league titles and weren't being predicted. When you were genuinely bad, it was, I don't even know if we'll make top 4. And I had Liverpool mates. I used to listen to Liverpool fans on the radio. I'd watch what the pundits said. When you were genuinely bad, you were written off. What happened to you guys? You had a few years in your good era where you really underperformed. They weren't bad teams. Between the manager and players, they underperformed, because outside of that, they were winning trophies in title races and pushing.
But it's only a couple seasons, Terry. From 2006-07 to 2008-09. That was probably the period we should have won a league title, in my opinion.
The year where you had Brendan Rodgers and obviously the Slippy G. You were there.
Come on, man. We could see 50 goals that season.
Chelsea.
We conceded 50 goals that season, man.
I
If
know.
any team, if we won that league that season, we would not have deserved it. 50 goals we conceded. That is crazy.
You were scoring like tons of goals. Like Suarez had that incredible year. Like you were there.
Yeah, we were there. But again, defense wins you league titles, as Arsenal fans like to say this season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you got to be there to win it, though, haven't you? So if you can't,
Which is why, by the way, I don't know why anybody would rather be 7 points behind us because, as Terry said, we're not even conceding chances.
Yeah, but that's the issue. Is that this is the whole thing that I was saying before, though, Anton, was the reason why I think I would be behind you guys is because of the games where you may draw instead of winning. Like,
but we're not. We're not even
at the moment.
Like
I'm
you're,
saying
you're
if you're not
this is
scoring,
not last year's Arsenal. I disagree with you completely. You started saying this whole draw thing.
Yeah, it's not last. It's not last. It's not last year's
Arsenal. 8
Arsenal
years players, 8 different players better.
I hear you guys. I hear you guys. I've got to shoot though, gents. I've got to shoot. I've been here 2 hours. I've got to go. But look, I want to thank you all for jumping on. A bit of a rotating wheel tonight on the show, but I appreciate everyone jumping in and contributing tonight. I want to thank our super chatters. I want to thank everyone who tuned in. This is going to redirect you to Hassam's channel, so go and support my brother over there, please. We're back tomorrow, myself and Goldbridge, 11 a.m. for hot takes, straight facts in the afternoon, and then it's Champions League reactions. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.